Hello YouTube. Okay, check this out. Here I have a cup that was gotten from the church or something. They were selling it off. Obviously they don't know they use it for anointing oil. Or the goblet we drink the communion wine. And they had two of them and they don't want it. So what does that say about the church? They don't want to know about it. A lot of crippled people coming out of there. So I had this lighter that had a flame torch sticking out of it, a butane torch, and I had been using ram chips with electricity to push the electricity into the ram, and then the gold comes out of the ram via the positive electrode, and then salt water, put them both in there, that makes an arc, so it helps the power carry across. The moral of the story is I got some dust from it, and this here is a graphite crucible. Now what I need is either a really hot furnace or a way to heat it up heaps and get the lead to burn off. In the ram chips is lead and zinc. I've now discovered that after consuming quite a bit and feeling dumb every time, and I've consumed $2,000 worth of gold only for it to get shed out and left a lot of damaging lead in my blood. But I'm needing zinc. So anyway, I put some borax with it, tried to burn it inside this cup with a flame. And it was propped up on an angle, up on something like this angle. I was burning it. Some of my videos you might see me doing that. And this is the resulting crud that comes from it. So I've washed it a couple of times to try to see what happens if I can separate out the metals from the carbons. And so I suppose that carbons must become graphite eventually. See, lead pencils is just graphite. And anyway, so I'm turning on my element on high, and I usually chuck the water in and stir it until it becomes like a paste, and then evaporate it off, whatever, help clean it and refine it. And it's becoming the brown gold powder that you see, but it's not cooked enough. I need a 1200 degree furnace, like either a stack of bricks, some charcoals in, get it real hot, have a thermometer next to it and get it bloody hot. I can't do it out here where I live. It's too close quarters, so I need somewhere like out in the Wops. Go and get some stones and make a paste, take some mortar or something, or take some plaster of Paris and grab some sand and mix that together and make a little furnace out there in the Wops, and then burn them up to charcoals, take a box of charcoals and fire starters and grab some woods around, and, you know, burn them up real hot, get it up to 1200 degrees and stick this in, and it'll burn off all the impure stuff. Need a bigger graphite mold. This one is the only one I could get for $20. I've been unemployed as shit. And this here goblet, very golden goblet, so I thought it was gold. So I used the electricity, the positive, to colloidalize and erode, or whatever you call it, corrode, to break down and shed all the particles of it. This was one of them as well. This was a crucible, a goblet. And it broke down and went into the solution. And I just figured that I might be able to get the gold that was on it to come into the solution. So I had all this copper nano, and I thought, that's nice. Chuck it down the shit house. Couldn't be fucked with it, eh? Went back to nature. But this stuff, I refuse to get rid of. I bought me 3 lighter fluid bottles. And I burned and keep cooling it, and burn and cool the lighter thing, because the head gets hot. I even brought me a great big dunger. It's as you see, it's propane, different to butane. And it has a nice old heat on it. And it heats up like fuck real fast. I've used it all up already. It cost me $40 to get it here. Usually, they cost $18 to $90. Up to $190, and they sell them in the local Ripco car repair places. But however, I found it bloody difficult being on a limited budget, so I've gone with the cheapest I could find, and it was $30, and delivery cost $20, and I think it was around about $40. Delivery was $20, and sorry about that, my microwave makes a hell of a noise. Some smart ass bitch programmed it with this Asian guy to be fucking annoying beeping, pardon my language. And anyway, so the moral of the story is I've got all this stuff in here, in this crucible, actually gold powder. I gave it to my sister to get her to sell it, but you know what? I found out that you've got to put acids in with it or burn it. So it's gone blacker, and that's proof that there is lead in it. Now in there's this gold brown type of fluid. There's my clock. Can't see a very good golden. It's more brown now. It was so golden I just stuck my finger in there a couple of times a day. Get me some gold on my tongue. There's probably some salt in it because I used some salt, but I tried to wash out the salt when I was doing it. I gave it 2 washes and can't be fucked doing more than that. So I'm burning off the carbon. My neighbour's gone to hospital, but he's due to come back soon. But before they put smoke alarm in, I used to smoke it up and enjoy it. And the weird thing is when you heat up this, it's got partial copper because the electrodes that I used in the jar and power supply, it left copper because the wires are copper. Because when you do it, you use wires. And the wires I use are like speaker wires, but one of them, the negative one, doesn't do shit, just gets black and you can clean it a bit. And it gives out the hydrogen gas conversions, but when it comes to the positive, it corrodes in. And I found out that my power supply had been sending on down to my mum's flat, and out there underground, a guy discovered gold with a metal detector. And he's an electrician, so of course he knows where the gold is. And he was happy as he dug up my gold and it was gone. So I had $4,000 worth of gold, and I only paid $40 for it. Every now and then you strike it rich where the computer people don't want all the junk and they're willing to get rid of it. So I'm inhaling a bit of that smoke. I had a buzzy ass trip tonight, and what it was fucking miraculous, pardon my language again. There's some weird shit under there. I picked some of my wood or gold or some random shit put down there. But you can smoke gold. Thing is, I could well be just smoking the carbon coming from the borax. But it's been known that if you burn the gold, then ORMUS, ORMES, not the ORMUS, US one comes from the sea, but the ES comes from gold. And really it's just cobalt. What happens when you cook anything with energy or heat, it evolves. And all it really is not evolving so much as more the impurities get burnt off. It's called refining. The Christians have follow the silver refining method, where it's part of their holy path, where they burn off the impurities. So Moses, who went on the mountain, he burnt it off too. He had copper, and he knew that electricity power that God gave could help him to attract all the gold into the copper. And there probably was some anyway, so just burn the copper, and what remains is the pure then copper, and copper burns away. And copper is the thing that conducts gold into it. That's why I was using a positive electrode on the gold, but the negative electrode is the collector, to collect it into a copper thing. So I'll leave it to burn the smoke. And here's my 2 copper things. Brass maybe, but these copper. Check it out, you can see gold tinge on it. And same for the other thing, which we haven't got time. There's a bit of a gold tinge on it, so there's gold in it. I'll get some salt to help with the jars.
check out the